Hey guys, welcome to Tabletop Warbands! In today's video we play Kill Team with the Veteran Guardsmen against the Hyrotech Circle. I'm Simone and I'll play the Astra.
Hi, I'm Andrea and I will play the Necrons. Before we start, if you are subscribed to the channel, welcome back. If you're not subscribed yet and want to help us, join our growing community now by clicking on the subscribe button. And don't forget to activate the bell so you don't miss the next battle reports. Thank you guys!
Today's mission is Cryptogrammic Raid. The two kill teams will have to deploy within these areas. There are 5 points of interest and they are arranged in this way. The operatives will be able to carry out the action raid data on the consoles to score victory points.
Each player gains 1 victory point every time the action raid data is completed. 1 additional victory point if an enemy operative was the last one to perform the action on that terrain feature, and 2 more victory points if the action is done on the console in the enemy drop zone. Each team can access every console only a maximum of 3 times, and each console can be activated only 1 time each turn. The consoles in our own drop zone cannot be activated by friendly operatives.
The kill team of Krieg veterans has been assigned to a desperate mission, a race against time. Necron operatives have managed to penetrate a military base and access the Imperial Communications Network. The Krieg's mission is to encrypt the information contained in the terminals as soon as possible, to prevent it from falling into the hands of the Necrons. They will have to carry out the mission at any cost. The kill team is made up of 10 veteran guardsmen operatives and 1 ancillary support option. The leader of the kill team is a veteran sergeant armed with plasma pistol and power weapon. His second in command is the confident veteran armed with a bolt gun. He'll take the lead in case something happens to the leader. Heavy weapons are handled by 3 gunner veterans. The first is armed with a flamer, the second wields a plasma gun, and the third a melt gun. The other kill team operatives are a medic, my favorite specialist the Zealot, a demolition for explosive situations, a sniper who is always useful, and Kirov the Spotter, named after one of our first followers. As ancillary support I have chosen Tactical Assets, which allows me to choose 2 additional effects, and I choose Guided Missile and Strafing Run. These assets count as additional operatives but have only one use during the battle. The kill team has 10 points to spend on equipment. I assigned a rosary to the Zealot, a chronometer to the leader, a topographical chart to the medic, and a hotshot capacitator pack to the demolition.
After the Great Sleep, the Necrons needed a way to find as many information as possible about the parasites that are infesting the Necrons' wards. What better way to gain information than stealing them from the Astra Militarum? The team is composed of 8 operatives. The leader of the army is a Technomancer equipped with the Staff of Flight. At the start of the battle, he can take 2 cryptic actions. To help the team I chose Canoptech Repair Swarm and Rites of Reanimation. The second in command is an Apprentech, equipped with Arcane Conduit. Then we have the Immortal Despotech. He has a Ghost Blaster and he can help the Immortals eliminate their targets more easily. As base units there are 2 Immortals armed with a Ghost Blaster and a Deathmark armed with a Synaptic Disintegrator. To support the team there are 2 cute little drones, a Plasma Set Reanimator that can help revive the operatives and a Plasma Set Accelerator that can motivate the agents to do more. As additional equipment I gave Phase Shifter to the Technomancer to give him a 4+ invulnerable save, the Phase Oculars to the Deathmark to help him hit the enemies harder, and Hyperphase Blaze to both the Immortals.
The drop zone is quite narrow and doesn't give me many deployment choices. I decided to arrange my models so that I could have numerical superiority in the center of the map. On the left flank, the spotter and the sniper will control the sector in front of them. In the center, my leader along with most of the kill team is ready to keep the Necrons' advance under control. On the right side, the confident will guide the plasma and the demolition towards the lower room.
I decided to deploy most of my operatives towards the center of the battlefield. I don't have many models, but the Necrons are really tough. The Technomancer, the Apprentech, and the Despotech are all on the right side of the drop zone, and with them there's an Immortal and the Accelerator Plasma side. On the left side, there are the Deathmark, 1 Immortal, and the Reanimator Plasma side. They try to flank the Kriegs on the left side of the map.
It's time to do the scouting phase. Each of us chooses a number of dice equal to the corresponding number of the choice, 1 for Fortify, 2 for Infiltrate and 3 for Recon, grey dice for the Astra and orange dice for the Necrons. We both chose Recon, so the initiative will be with the attacker, in this case the Necrons. The defender initiates the scouting action, then my demolition dashes forward.
The Immortal on the right dashes forward.
I use Deploy into the breach, which allows me to give all my models deployed in the drop zone a free dash. The first to move are the Plasma and the Confident, who advance towards the lower entrance of the sector. The pile of models here in the center tries to move inside the corridor, getting as close as possible to the entrance to the room. Instead, on the left, the spotter is the only one to move and moves closer to the door.
I reveal the TACOP central control. At the end of the round, if the total APL of friendly operatives within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield is greater than that of the enemy, I gain 1 victory point.
I reveal the TACOP's central control and protect assets. My goal is to control the central point of the kill zone and kill at least 2 enemy models near points of interest in order to gain victory points. Also, in the strategy phase, my sergeant gives the order move, move, move to all models within 6 inches of him, increasing their movement by 1.
Viper uses movement and dash to reach the door in front of her.
Al-Azhar moves and opens the door, and then enters the sector first.
Bones follows his friend at the door using movement and dash.
Hector follows his comrade into the room.
Reanimator Joy flies behind the 2 Necrons.
Kirov the spotter moves forward and opens the door leading into the room, and positions herself next to the point of interest.
Chopper, the Despotec, climbs over the console and opens the door of the central sector.
Patrick the Flamer enters the corridor and stands at the corner between the 2 doors.
Darren the Apprentice uses movement and dash to reach the center of the battlefield.
Sergeant Victor moves down the corridor, reaches the door at the end, and opens it.
Rex dashes forward and then gives 1 APL to the mortal next to him. With his last action, the Accelerator Plasma Set flies inside the room.
Yenne the Zealot moves around the room and reaches the first terminal, then manages to carry out the mission action and encrypt the first data. Come on Yenne, hide the dirty stuff. A victory point for me.
Roger uses movement and dash to reach the breachable wall on the right, and then places a charge with additional action of the Accelerator.
Alexander the Medic moves next to the leader and opens the door leading to the central corridor. No enemy in sight.
Kevin, my leader, uses his ability Command on Roger and makes him perform the mission action Detonate Charge to blow a hole in the wall. Then uses movement and dash to reach the console in the central room, and with his last action, he does the action Raid Data to give me a victory point.
The Confidant with movement and dash passes the door and reaches the small corridor below. Tess, the Sniper, reaches the open door and positions herself near the doorframe in an excellent position to have the room under control. Arthur joins the other soldiers in the corridor and passes them into the room. And with him, all the models were moved.
At the end of the turn, I gain 1 victory point for the TACOP central control and reach 2. So far, no Kriegs inside, but I think that the next turn will be a bloodbath since I need to reach the consoles under Simone's control.
Not much happened this turn. My Kriegs position themselves in the sectors next to the drop zone, and being there first favors me, since Andrea will have to reach those terminals in my control. Next turn, I should be able to get more victory points than him on the primary objectives.
Rolling for initiative? 4.
Oh, just a 3.
In the strategy phase, I spent 2 command points for the strategic ploys, Intractable March, and Undyne Androids to improve the movement of my mortals and death mark by 2 inches, and automatically save a dice when my operatives are being targeted by a shooting attack and are not in cover. Then I reveal the TACOP damage limitation. If at the end of the turn no friendly operatives were incapacitated, I score 1 victory point.
Also in this turn, my leader gives the order move, move, move to the men around him, to increase their movement by an inch.
Rex activates and gives an action point to the Prentec behind him, then moves forward and places a detonation charge on the wall connecting the 2 rooms.
Kirov stands right next to the console, so she performs the mission action. Then she positions herself better so as to be in cover from anyone who enters the door.
Kevin detonates the charge and then uses the ability Rites of Reanimation. When another friendly operative would be incapacitated for the first time during this battle, if he is within 6 inches from a Technomancer, he can attempt the reanimation. Then, Kevin uses the ability Magnification Conduit on the Prentec to shoot the enemy Meltagun and, in case I need it, reroll all the dice of the same result. He makes 6 shots at 3+. Rerolling the 1. 1 again. 4 normal hits.
With penetration -1, I can roll 2 dice at 5+. I use a command point to reroll a dice. Nope, the first Krieg has been eliminated. Arthur was definitely not lucky in the games he played. Hector moves next to the console to get a better line of sight, then fires his plasma at the Apprentec, 4 shots at 4+. 2 critical hits and 1 normal hit. Nice shot, Hector.
Saving 1 dice automatically thanks to the ploy used earlier, and rolling 1 more dice at 3+ because of the -1 penetration. 2 normal saves are enough to save 1 critical hit and leave the Apprentice with only 1 wound. Darren activates and shoots the enemy Zealot, making 4 shots at 4+ because of the injury. Only 1 hit.
2 dice to save at 5+. Oh, perfect! I'd say the Zealot was well hidden.
With his last 2 actions, Darren runs in cover behind the wall.
I want to be able to maintain control of this room, so Yen charges the plasma sight into the other room, blocking the passage. Then, once he arrives, the Zealot fights, doing 3 attacks at 4+. Wow, only 1 critical hit.
Rex responds with 3 attacks at 5+. Not even a hit!
Since this is the only successful attack, Yen deals damage.
And Rex is left with only 2 wounds and injured. Chopper walks inside the room, and once he sees the enemy plasma gun, he shoots him 4 shots at 2+. All 4 hit!
Ouch, what a pain. I can't save in any way, so I remove the model directly. What a pity. That Necron across the hall worries me quite a bit, so the medic closes the door and heads into the room below to help his companions.
Viper opens the door in front of her and moves forward towards the other door.
Victor moves and reaches a position where he can see the enemy, then fires at the Despotech, making 3 shots at 3+. 1 critical hit and 1 normal hit with the plasma pistol.
Saving 1 automatically and rolling the other at 3+. With 2 normal saves, he blocks the critical hit. 5 wounds through. Joy flies inside the room and positions herself behind the Apprentice.
Alasar positions himself next to the sergeant and opens fire on the same target, 3 shots at 4+. Just 1 critical hit.
1 automatic save and 1 more at 3+. Easy. Roger enters the room and hides himself behind the barrier.
Patrick the Flamer changes his order to conceal to avoid prying attention, then moves next to the console and carries out the mission action, earning another victory point.
Bones follows his friend inside the room.
Tess feels the need to shoot someone, so she changes the order to engage and moves next to the barrier where he's able to see the Necron. The sniper fires on him, making 4 shots at 2+. Oh yeah! A critical hit that deals 3 mortal wounds plus 3 normal hits.
Saving 1 automatically and 2 more at 3+. Just 1. 1 wound left to Roger. I have no more operatives to activate, so Chopper shoots Overwatch on the enemy leader. 3 shots at 3+ because of the Overwatch. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
2 dice at 5+ to save. Nope, my leader has been mortally wounded, but as luck would have it, the medic is right next to him. Alexander uses his ability and is able to revive the leader, leaving him alive and with only 1 wound. Welcome back, Victor. Raphael is in an awkward position, so he changes the order to conceal and takes cover behind the column.
At the end of the turn I gain 2 victory points for the TAC Op Central Control and damage limitation. In this round I completely forgot to do the mission action on the console under my control, but I managed to eliminate both the enemy gunners. In the next turn, if I win the initiative, I should also be able to take control of the room on the right.
I'm not entirely sure this turn went well for me. I lost too many models and took wounds on others. The only good news is that I managed to keep control of the room, which means I have the advantage in victory points for primary objectives. I really need to continue to maintain control of more consoles than Andrea.
Rolling for initiative.
Finally a good dice roll!
A4! The initiative is yours.
Once again, my sergeant, although a little worn by his wounds, gives the order move to men within 6 inches of him.
In the strategy phase, I spend again 2 command points for Intractable March and Undyne Androids. Then, every wounded Necron regains 2 wounds each thanks to the ability Living Metal. All but the plasma sites that gain only 1 wound.
The first to activate is Tess, and tries to snap the Necron in front of her to definitely take the control of the room. 4 shots at 2+. Perfect! The critical hit deals 3 mortal wounds, enough to take out the Necron.
Since I need Roger there, I use the free tactical ploy Commence Reanimation and place a token as close as possible from the operative's base, and in the next turn, he'll try to reanimate. Here is your token.
Once her job is done, Tess goes over the barrier to check on the Necron.
Chopper shoots at the Demolition Specialist and makes 3 attacks at 2+. 1 crit and 2 normal hits.
Once again, 2 dice at 5+ to save. And once again, neither is successful. Alasar leaves the battlefield.
With the second action, Chopper charges the Zealot.
The Zealot tries to eliminate the Plasmacite and fights, making 3 attacks at 4+. Huh, missing them all. Good, congrats!
Rex responds with 3 attacks at 4+, thanks to the aid of the Despotech. 1 hit! That's 1 wound to the Krieg!
You failed your attacks, and on top of that, you also get a wound. I have no words.
Bones reaches the door in front of him and opens it.
Victor moves slightly to the side to stick himself against the wall and have a better line of sight to the room in front.
Rex disengages from combat and reaches the console. Thanks to his ability Scuttler, he only needs 1 action point to disengage, meaning that he can raid data from the console with his second action. Then, he gives 1 action point to the mortal on his left.
The time has come to use the Strafing Run, one of my tactical assets. Using my leader's line of sight, I choose an enemy model, in this case the Plasmacite. Then I place a marker wherever I want on the battlefield. Each enemy model whose base is crossed by an invisible line passing between the target and the marker suffers a shooting attack with this weapon. I start targeting the Plasmacite, making 6 shots at 4+. 3 hits!
Saving 1 automatically and 2 more at 5+. Nope.
The second model hit is the Reanimator, 6 shots at 4+ on it too. 3 hits also in this case.
Again, 1 automatic save and 2 more at 5+. Yeah, another fail.
Third and final shot on the Immortal, 6 shots at 4+ again. 4 hits on him.
Saving 1 automatically and the other 2 at 3+ this time. Okay, rerolling 1 with a command point. Finally, 1 die save. Accelerator Plasmacite is gone, but I used the reanimation beam of the Reanimator to commence his reanimation. Joy is left with only 1 wound and is injured, while Viper has 6 wounds left. Viper activates and uses movement and dash. Then, thanks to the additional AP, she shoots the enemy flamer 4 shots at 3+. 2 crits and 2 normal hits. She's angry, I'd say.
With that dice roll and -1 penetration, I don't even try to save. I use Deploy in Death Atonement for a command point. The model is not removed until the end of the next activation and does not count as injured. So the next model to activate is the Flamer. Being next to the console, Patrick carries out the action of the mission, earning a victory point. He then fires on the Necron who targeted him shortly before, 5 shots at 2+. I reroll a dice with a command point. Obviously, 1 again. 2 critical hits and 2 normal hits.
Saving again 1 automatically and 2 more at 3+. 1 failed.
Having done his duty, Patrick abandons the battlefield. Good job, soldier, you deserve some rest.
And Viper has only 2 wounds left. Kevin activates and uses his ability Canoptech Repair on the Apprentice. 2d3 wounds regained. That's 5 wounds hit to Darren, so he's not injured anymore. With his second action, Kevin commands the Despotech to fight with the Zealot. Chopper then fights, making 4 attacks at 2+. Rerolling the dice in a balance. Only 3 hits.
Yenna responds with 3 attacks at 4+. Only 1, unfortunately.
Chopper starts the fight, dealing damage with a normal hit.
With my dice, I defend a Necron attack.
I deal damage with a crit.
The Zealot has the Rosary, thanks to which he can ignore damage taken, and I ignore the critical damage. This means that Yenne is still alive. 3 wounds left on the Zealot.
With his second action, Kevin aims the enemy leader and shoots 5 shots at 3+. 3 hit! Great!
This time too the leader should be eliminated, but the faithful medic is always there next to him, ready to save his life. Victor is still alive and with a wound. The Confidant opens fire on the Immortal in front of him, 4 shots at 4+ with the bolt gun. Ah, good shots! He may have lost control of the bolt gun when shooting. Only 1 critical hit.
I only needed 3 with 2 dice, since 1 is saved automatically. 6! He's safe!
With the second action at his disposal, Raphael charges the Necron to try to stop its advance.
Darren uses the ability Magnification Conduit to shoot at the enemy leader and try to eliminate him for real. 3 shots at 3+. All hit! Finally!
And finally, Victor was eliminated. It took him a long time. Kirov is next to the console and can carry out the mission action. Another victory point for me.
Joy can't do anything with 1 wound left, so she passes her turn.
The medic moves forward and places himself in front of the door, entering within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield and earning a victory point for central control. This final movement of the medic was extremely important. He probably won't do well in the next round, but that victory point he got could help me win the game. In the next turn, I will have to try to take the last available point of the console in the spotter's room, and then rely on my tac hoops. I can't believe what I'm about to say, but I can still win this game.
This turn I lost some operatives. Luckily enough, I can reanimate them at the beginning of the next round. The immortal in the room with the 2 Kriegs has to reanimate at all costs because he has to contest the console under Simone's control in order not to let him score more victory points, and to do so I need the initiative.
Initiative for the 4th round. This time it didn't go well.
5. The initiative is mine. The reanimation protocols activate, and the Necrons start to reassemble. I roll a dice, and with 3+, they come back to life with D3 wounds, starting with the immortal. 6. D3 wounds. 2 wounds. Now the accelerator plasma sight. 3. He's back. Rolling D3 wounds. 3 wounds. Nice. After the reanimation protocols, every wounded Necron gains 2 wounds and 1 wound each plasma side. Now that every operative is alive, it's time to shine. Roger is the first operative to activate and wants revenge. He aims the sniper behind him and shoots 4 shots at 4+. Only 2 hits.
Damn it! Tess needs to stay alive! 2 dice to defend at 5+. No! I use a command point to reroll a dice? There's no point in hoping, right? Tess is eliminated, but once again I use deploy in Death Atonement for a command point. Tess remains alive for 1 more activation and does not count as injured.
With his second action, Roger charges the spotter behind the console.
Tess activates and moves forward towards the console. Once she arrives, she carries out the mission action and gets the last victory point available for this console. Now you can go in peace, Tess. You did what you have to do.
Darren needs to clear the passage, so he charges the Zealot and fights him, making 3 attacks at 2+ thanks to the Despotech in combat with him. 1 crit and 1 normal hit.
1 critical is enough to eliminate the Zealot, so there's no need to roll the dice. Yen made his last fight of the match. The medic charges both the Apprentech and the Despotech, attempting to stop them in combat and block the passage.
Rex gives 1 APL to the Technomancer and then does the mission action to gain the last victory point from the console.
Kirov has nothing else to do, so she decides to pass the turn.
Kevin activates and commands the Despotech to fight with the enemy medic. Chopper then attacks, making 4 attacks at 2+. Rerolling 1 with a command point because I really need him to be gone. All hit!
Alexander fights back and makes 3 attacks at 4+. Missing them all. Forget it. The plan to physically block the passage didn't work very well.
With the path clear, Kevin flies to the console in the other room and gains 2 victory points from the mission action, reaching a total of 9 victory points.
At the end of the game, I reveal my final tac hope, Glory in Death, and I would say that the name is perfect for the situation. If more of my operatives have been eliminated than enemy operatives, but at the same time I have scored more victory points from the mission objective, I gain 2 victory points. Thanks to the death of almost all my operatives sacrificed to achieve the final objective of the mission, the Astra wins the game 10-9.
I can't believe it! The only time I managed to save every single operative is the time I lose because I have lost no operatives in the battle. I can only say, well played. I think that losing the initiative in the 3rd round was the thing that allowed Simone to gain the 2 victory points from the last tac hope. If that immortal managed to eliminate the sniper earlier, the victory would have been mine.
Incredible, I would have never bet on it. I managed to win the game thanks to the control of the primary objectives at the expense of the lives of my operatives. Very Astra style, I must say. The key to victory was keeping the Necrons away from the lower room while my operatives encrypted the data. The Necrons will never know what websites the Astra visit. Well, it doesn't matter. Before finishing, we would like to take a moment to thank our members who have decided to support us on Patreon. A new member has joined as supporters, Galla Placidia. Thank you so much for your support, really appreciate it. And if you guys want to support the channel and enjoy an additional and exclusive battle report per month, or see your models showcased in our videos, the Patreon link is in the description. We are waiting for you on Discord.
And if you have come this far, write the word atonement in the comments to let us know. You are the best. And if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, leave a like and write us in the comments. We are always curious to know what you think.
That's it, guys!
See you next video!